Hey, everybody, let's get in the first part of her day. We are over here. Sometimes your life will, could be or would be like how really ominous, or anything like that. Even in that case, if you can control, if you have sufficient control over your, like how the mentality, or your that level of even in that dismal, devastating, miserable, and perilous conditions. If you have in that case, that kind of ominous things won't affect your mentality, your uh, but physical appearance or anything like that. So you have to feel like you are actually on chill, and you always has to say, so most of the thing can be this can be really nebulous to understood, to get the info from that kind of activities or anything like that. But at the end you have to know. So once you can able to know that's meaning or anything like that, in that case you won't consider and recognize all the things like they are really ambiguous and vague, or you are always following a perilous way or anything like that. You won't gonna complain about it in this way. So it could be really you can even able to eliminate that kind of nebulous mentalities or anything like that if you have, or what can I say, and you will always go through a really a necessary way, or you always has to go, because you have choose that path and you have to go through this path, and you will, if you can go throughout your life in this way, in that case you can push yourself towards positivity or something like that. So that's why you always have to, so if you can in that case you can even be an altruistic person, and if once you become an altruistic person in that case, even you feel proud of to have a man that whatever you are now, so you always have to think, you don't need to think only about yourself. You sometimes thinking about other people's views, perspectives, their opinion, or anything like towards you also can be really beneficial and lucrative, so you must have to impart your sufficient and really precious time to yourself to get really precious things in life, and that can even uh, aid you to move further towards positivity, or your perpetual like that kind of successful journey. So that's why you are working over here, and you always have to. So you have to bolster yourself towards your goal aim, if you can appease yourself, or even you can appease other people's whatever they are asking for you to have with you, sometimes you can appease, but it is better if you can appease. So that's it, that's my view. Or sometimes we have to what uh, nobody's here, like even people might be really erudite, but they don't know the meaning of life. They sometimes they cross the limits, but they mustn't happen, because it will be better if they had known uh, enough knowledge and wisdom about moral and ethical things or anything like that, so that's why if they have special awareness, in that case they won't don any what they wouldn't don any negative activities or anything like that. They will never like to get engaged or what to force to impose themselves towards negativity or anything like that. So that's why sometimes we have to go through specialty, we must have it is really necessary and important. Also it is significant to know, to have awareness about specialty or that kind of things, so we can even pursue its meaning towards fully to get a non-stop what necessary lucrativity, lucrative things or anything like that. So that's why we are working over here, and we have to. We never have to feel like we are exhausted, and we're feeling so fragile. Feel and I feel like let's give up, man. So in this way, you can construct the meaning of life, and then sometimes if you don't have any work or anything, like you are not engaged, uh, you know in like you are not goal oriented, in that case because of somehow you control, but with over time your mind will turn into like malevolent personality or anything like that. if a person doesn't have, if a person has nothing he just has prejudice in his mind or anything like that, and in that case most of the thing will come just to distract himself, except that there won't be anything. So it is better to cognize of that kind of negative activity or anything like that, even if we have otherwise it is better to stay away from negativity, or that we have always have to be familiar with spirituality, or moral and ethical things and matters. In that case, what we can even we have to, sometimes it is necessary to compartmentalize that kind of negative things and positive things. So compartmentalization is necessary between negative and positive things. So what if sometimes you have to devolve for a necessary info or anything like that, but if that is against society or community or especially in that case, you have to stop that things, even that is for just look at it things. But even in that case, you just have to stop yourself to get engaged in that kind of activities or anything like that. It could be like it will be like it is like innovating your energy towards positivity or anything like that. So that's why it is always better to have control over your emotions or anything like that. In that case, you can able to go and to move forward towards positivity, and you have to, so don't let create don't let yourself to create like male born person, even a lot of people you might have seen, but you just have to neglect those people. In that case, your life is gonna be really appreciating, and you have to work for that, so it is really controversial variable thing matters that it mustn't be. If we come to deny all this in life, in that case we won't get anything from it. So it is better uh, to stay in limit. We must have to think about restrictions, constructions, limitation, rest, like any weaknesses and flawed things. So if we manage and cop all these things in life, in that case your life is gonna be really sparkling and lighting and luminous. You always have to, everybody are working for to get to have that level of life. So we must have to, we must deserve it if we are working on it. And so most of the thing, your even your journey is not efficacious, efficacious in that, even in that case you have to make that journey really efficacious. Only in that case you can able to get that things in life. Otherwise you somehow you feel like you are working in an efficacious way, but somewhat you are diverted towards negativity, and lots of the distraction are ahead and behind of yourself. So that's why it is really necessary to be goal oriented, or purpose oriented. Only in that case, you can have attitude mentality, and you can even right, become an adult person. And you are, everybody are wishing to have an adult person, but if you are not, then that is not also like how we're not even think that we always have to stay calm, positive and ideal person. But most of the time we can even be fail, so that's why we have to do that thing at any cost. So that only in that case we have our passion is hidden there, otherwise we will fail, man. So that's why when we will, it is better not to get engaged in like that kind of like positive things or anything like that. That is like innovate, that is like innovating your energy, your extreme power, authority towards your goal, your purpose, aim, anything like that. So always learn to be what adult person, you must have to make a journey. Your it's an every strategy really efficacious, or if your mentality in, if your strategy or plan is like uh, incontrovertible, in that case, nobody will stop to nobody will and impose you to become male violent person. Even you are cognized of being that kind of person, who is, but now you are out of that kind of things or anything like that. You are what you are imposed to move forward towards positivity towards your goal. So that's why you are working, and you always have to work, man. So never ever feel like you are not doing anything in life. So sometimes you can even feel you are bolstering yourself, and sometimes somehow you are imparting the sufficient time to yourself, but that can be enough. So always you have to work as a necessary person, and that's the meaning of life.